Amid a raging war between Russia and Ukraine, the European Union is now turning towards Israel for its natural gas supply needs, as the bloc claims that it has been blackmailed by Moscow for its gas supplies after siding with Kyiv. The European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen is in Jerusalem to strengthen Union's energy cooperation with Israel, as Russia has cut down energy supplies to several European nations amid heavy sanctions imposed by the EU to curb Moscow's Ukrainian invasion. The bloc has been looking for alternative suppliers to reduce its dependence on Russia, which in turn would help them in imposing stricter sanctions on Moscow.
The European Union was the biggest, most important client from the supplier Russia, oil, gas and coal. But with the beginning of this war and the attempt of Russia to blackmail us through energy by deliberately cutting the energy supplies, we decided to cut off and to get rid of the dependency of Russian fossil fuels and to move away from Russia and diversify to trustworthy suppliers. So it is for us very important, and I'm very grateful that we are now discussing this fascinating project that you are willing to increase the deliveries of gas to the European Union via Egypt. And tomorrow we will already take a very important step with the signing of a trilateral memorandum of understanding between Israel, the European Union and Egypt.
Russia has already cut its supplies to Poland, Bulgaria, Finland, Dutch and Danish companies, citing payment issues as Kremlin demanded bill payments in rubles after EU sanctions on it. Russia's energy giant Gazprom on Tuesday said that it will be reducing the daily gas deliveries via the Nord Stream pipeline to Germany by more than 40% due to the repair of the compressor units by German company Siemens. Last year, the bloc imported roughly 40% of its gas from Russia. The EU is now eyeing Israel as a major natural gas supplier. Israel has two major gas fields off its coast. Jerusalem is estimated to have gas reserves of at least 1 trillion cubic meters, while the country's domestic use over the next 3 decades is not expected to go beyond 300 billion.
With the ongoing and devastating war in Ukraine comes vast global implications, and it's time for the international community to work together. Even in our region, we're seeing a potential for great famine and distress that can have profound implications for the stability and the welfare of people, which is why today both of us will be discussing ways where the EU and Israel can cooperate on food security, energy, and more.
Israel exports gas to Egypt. Some of this gas is then liquefied and shipped to Europe. A significant increase in gas exports would require major long-term infrastructure investments. Israel says that the talks have been happening since March for establishing legal framework to enable more Israeli gas exports to Europe via Egypt. Israeli energy minister even traveled to Egypt for signing a memorandum of understanding for the same. Another option would be the East Med project, a proposal for a sea-floor pipeline linking Israel to Greece and Italy via Cyprus. The pipeline would carry gas from new offshore deposits in the southeastern Mediterranean to continental Europe. In 2020, Greece, Israel and Cyprus signed a deal to build an undersea pipeline. The sea pipeline, with a rough budget of $6 billion, is expected to meet about 10% of the European Union's natural gas demands. But the stalled project is struggling with political and logistical complexities. Earlier this year, the European Union also earmarked $736 million for the construction of a 2,000-megawatt undersea electricity cable that would link the power grids of Israel, Cyprus and Greece. WION correspondent Jody Cohen has sent us this report from Hazlia. Take a look.
As part of the EU's efforts to find new sources of natural gas following supply disruptions from Russia, Israel has agreed to regularly export gas to Europe via Egypt. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the EU Commission, called it a historic agreement and suggested it's not just an opportunity for energy security, but also for regional cooperation and for strengthening peace. This is Jodie Cohen for WION. World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.